welcome to the show. Today we've got Mr. Benjamin. Man, what a cool cat. Bro, you have some stories to tell.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was driving down here. That's kind of amazing that we met, I think, literally less than 5 hours ago. And here we are
Truly.
having a little podcast thing. That's great.
So cool.
So it's just, I know parents say don't talk to strangers, but I say always talk to strangers because that's how you meet the interesting
That's
parts.
where you learn, right?
Exactly.
Hey, man, tell me a little bit about yourself. You said you were in the Air Force.
I joined the Air Force at the age of 20. I had celebrated my 21st birthday in boot camp, which was not super fun.
No.
And yeah, I spent 25 years in the military.
25 years. Hey,
quarter
thank you
century
for your service, man.
Thank you. I also spent 25 years in a different institution of marriage.
Oh,
and so both my military career and my marriage ended at the same time.
Okay.
So like everything that defined me for a quarter century, my whole adult life, gone.
Right out the window.
Yeah.
Right. So you moved back to California?
I am. Yeah, I was born and raised in California, and it just feels like home.
Right here? Monterey?
So I was born in Oakland, raised in Orinda, and over the hill from Berkeley. My daughter's going to Cal now at Berkeley, so yeah. And so, but my father, when he retired young, like me, he retired on Mount Madonna Road up between Watsonville and Gilroy.
Right.
And it was always this bounce between Santa Cruz and Monterey every time I'd come home to visit California. And as a military guy who's moving every 2 years, who frankly doesn't have a home, this was my home. Because every Christmas, this is where I bring my kids.
Even in your head, right?
Yeah. It was the only stable place I had for that whole
Right.
quarter century adventure was coming back to this area.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I forgot to introduce Miss Melinda.
Hi.
Miss Melinda.
Hi. Uh-oh.
Nice
to meet you.
You as well. I feel like, did somebody come in? I felt some chimes coming.
Yeah, chimes coming in.
It might have just been a spirit, might have been a human.
You're right.
Check?
No, somebody just walked by.
Silence that. That's the ringer at the house. Sorry.
That's all
all
right.
good.
So Miss Melinda was born on a army base somewhere in Kentucky.
Oh.
No, Kansas.
Kansas.
Huh.
My father was in the military.
Oh, what branch?
Army.
Oh, okay.
He was a drunk though, so he only.
Well, as an Air Force, 05, I'm not going to say anything because that would come off snooty.
Right.
No, that's great. Yeah, the military connections. Awesome.
Well, I was talking to you about, so you went in as enlisted.
Yeah.
And you worked your way up.
Yeah,
to where you are now. How far did you go?
So, I retired as a lieutenant colonel as an 05.
Wow.
I attended Air War College in residence.
Air War College.
Which ordinarily is a 100% selection rate to 06 to colonel.
Okay.
And so that was my track. I was going to go on to be a colonel, group commander, and everything.
Right.
But I experienced a significant personal loss that just made me reevaluate kind of everything about my life.
Right.
And we parted ways amicably, mostly amicably with the military.
So the marriage split first, and then you were just like...
No, the military split first.
Oh, okay.
Here's how I tell
and
the
then
story.
you were around all the time, and she was like, ah!
Well, no. I tell the story like this. I have a metaphor that I think works. So I was raised in a very kind of hippie environment, if I'm being honest.
Oh, right.
My
San
dad,
Francisco, right?
Yeah, my dad was gonna, dodge the draft. I was almost born in Canada. I was raised a vegetarian. And the story my dad told me was that back in the 60s, he had dropped LSD at a barbecue, looked at the meat on the grill, and decided this is a living creature, and if there's no need to cause it harm, we will not cause it harm. And I was raised a vegetarian. Yeah, for 25 years, I followed that vegetarian path because of his psychedelic experience. And then at the age of...
Good or bad?
What?
Good or bad?
Oh, good.
At the end, was that a good experience?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And so I wound up going to this school that was, at the time I joined it, 6th grade to 12th grade was 32 people. It was a couple of trailers at the time. And I still have the yearbook. If you open it up, 6th grade, Benjaminforest. 7th grade. I mean, literally, that's how small it was.
That's
and you
funny.
called all the teachers by their first name. And,
no kidding.
Yeah. And so and honestly, it was basically this kind of hippie dude who started a private school with all of his Cal buddies, and they were just
great.
It was so fun, and there was no sports, but we had a field.
Right.
But you know what we did in the field instead of playing sports? No kidding, this is a real memory. We went out to the field and we screamed out. No, but very fucking close. Very close. No, we screamed out lines from Allen Ginsberg's Howl. And I remember my line. It was, "Fuck you, America, with your atom bomb." Like, no kidding. This was my high school. Yeah. "Fuck you, America, with your atom bomb." Nice. And so when you come out of that upbringing, what do you do to rebel? I guess you join the military, right? Vote Republican, and go to church.
Oh, have mercy.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of years in between, but I think there was something of a rebellion against that kind of a little bit chaotic upbringing.
It's like backwards almost for most people, you know, right?
And so I was born in a hospital, but no kidding, that was it for me in the medical community. My dad was a chiropractor. He didn't believe in traditional medicine. And so the first time a needle ever entered my skin was at the age of 21 in basic training. I mean, they took care of me.
No immunizations, no nothing.
Never until the military. Now I'm the most immunized guy in the world. Right. You know, smallpox, anthrax, you name it. I'm immunized. So, the COVID vaccine, like, oh, bring it on.
Bring it.
You guys got nothing.
Right. That's great. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, so kind of a little kind of crazy upbringing. Yeah, this kind of California hippie childhood to this very cookie cutter conservative military upbringing in Iraq, Afghanistan, all these insane experiences. And now a couple of years after that, kind of, I hope integrating those two pieces, kind of that wild piece at the beginning and the more, restrained piece at the end.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, what's interesting to me is so since I'm in this place where I can just kind of pursue whatever, do whatever, I'm divorced, my kids are more or less grown.
And so
what's
young.
It about? And relatively young. And I think what life's about, at least it is for now, is about healing. So this morning I had my very first experience with a Reiki healer. I sought that out at the recommendation of some friends. This weekend I'm going to Esalen and Big Sur for a healing movement thing. And so, and obviously that's what brought me here, like literally into this building and to meet you was healing.
How about
because
that?
I had come to realize that this pain we carry, we think it's all in our head, and you can sort it out in your head, and that's important, but it's also like physically in the body. It's in the muscle. And when I, came across my healing and my transformation, I was astounded by how physical it was, how intensely physical it was.
Right.
And so that's what brought me here today was, looking for some kind of healing, because I know there's these pensions and pains in this body and somehow they need to come out.
Not everybody, believes in that or digs that, the energy or whatever, but it's a constant battle for me to try to get rid of the energy that I absorb, because I'm dealing with a lot of, scoliosis and car accidents and, trauma and PTSD, lots of PTSD. There's so much military here.
Yeah.
And people will just literally just break out crying on the table.
Yeah.
When I start going over muscles in their shoulders, back, up the back of their neck and shoulders, they'll just break out crying because something that's been holding in, I've released. I don't know exactly the science, but it's a constant, like I say, not everybody digs that, but or believes in it.
Oh, a year ago, I probably would have thought it was bullshit too. But when you experience it, you don't have any choice to believe it. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. Once you experience it, it's real.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember saying to you earlier today, I'm like, oh, well, this probably isn't a bad job. You just do your massages, you go home, and it's gone. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. You said, no, buddy.
Right.
Yeah, and it made me think about, I met another dude a few days ago, and he was a hospice nurse.
Wow.
Ooh, I mean, can you imagine what you carry home?
I know.
You gotta have a tough soul or find some way to let that out, or that'll drain you. I can't imagine doing that for a long time.
Right. There's a lot of jobs like that.
Yeah.
Well, military. Depending on what you're doing in the military, but if you're over in Afghanistan or something.
Yeah.
That's like the worst thing, baby doctors. It's gotta be the worst thing in the world on how they carry that. A lot of great things, but a lot of sadness.
God, what a timely topic. So I've got a couple of Afghanis I've been talking to. One of them, thankfully, is in San Diego, but I did reach out to him.
Didn't you say that you help to get him here or something?
No, yeah. So,
about that.
it was crazy. We met in Kabul. I've got a picture of our last meal together. It's crazy. We came from such different worlds. I mean, here's, rich hippie Ben growing up in the Bay Area.
That's funny,
and then there's this Afghani guy who's telling me about a severed head falling into his lap as a child, as a Muslim in Afghanistan in this, frankly, barbaric place.
Truly.
How different could he and I be?
Wow.
But the minute we met, it was like,
isn't that crazy?
He was smart, and there was just some friendship that immediately bonded between us. I still have this jewelry box that he gave me as a parting gift. I mean, this poor Afghani, he can't afford anything, but I don't know, whatever reason, we just connected.
Right.
And so obviously he needed to come here because when you work for people like me, you got a target on your back over there.
That's true.
You really do. Yeah.
Right.
So, it took years, but right before COVID, he got out to San Diego. I happened to reach out and say, "Hey, did you ever get to America?" And he's like, "Yeah, and actually, I need a reference for my job." So I, hopefully helped him get that job. But I reached out to him, and the email would honestly probably make you cry. His mom and his brothers are still there, and he said, "I've been made. I've been made." Because they're going after the families of the people who work for us.
Shoot.
Yeah. And so that's one guy. And thank God he and his kids are here. Because can you imagine his kids' future here versus there? For generations. The whole future of that family has changed because those kids are here. My God.
I can't even imagine. Right.
Yeah. But the other story is still in progress. Another man reached out to me. I wasn't close to him at all, but I do remember him.
Yeah.
And he said, "Look, they're going to kill me because I worked for you."
Wow.
And people like you, of course.
Right.
I was only there 8 months, whatever. But he worked for years for NATO, and that's a death sentence right now in Afghanistan.
So why would he do that?
Why did he do it?
Right.
Oh, for money. They're all just trying to survive out there.
To make a better country for the future, or is it? Yeah.
Well, and he has daughters. My God, if you have daughters in Afghanistan and you're a decent human being, hopefully you don't want the Taliban in charge.
Outstanding human being.
Yeah. So he reached out to me, I don't know, a week ago, 10 days ago, looking for a letter for a special immigration visa, something like that, because we are trying to bring in those guys, right? Because we owe it to them morally, I think.
Right.
And so anyway, I got him the letter. He's got it in hand, but right now he can't get to the airport. He can't get to Kabul airport, Kaya. That's where I worked. Yeah, he just needs to get to the airport with that letter in his hand, and he's saved. But we all know the Taliban doesn't want that to happen. They're letting the foreign nationals leave. They're letting the Americans leave because they don't want any more shit.
Right.
But the Afghanis like, no, you're staying here. And we keep seeing, today I saw an article about the Taliban torturing women, and they're hunting, people who worked for the Americans or NATO or whatever, and it's tragic. And, a friend of mine sent me a text saying, "Oh, are you doing okay? I feel so bad for you." And I'm like, dude, I'm fine. I have resources. I can go get massages and Reiki and see shaman. I can do whatever I want to get healed. I feel bad for those bastards because they have no options.
Right. You're carrying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough, man.
Yeah.
Right. Compared to them.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm doing pretty damn good. I'm doing pretty damn good because whatever comes up for me, I've got that VA. I've got people like you. I've got places I can go to work through this stuff, and those people just have nowhere to turn.
Right.
It's terrible.
It is.
So what have you done to heal so far? We talked a little bit about some different teas.
Sure.
Shamans.
Yeah, so I'll say this.
Great things about that with the PTSD.
Yeah, so I started out, in the military. I don't know. Kind of the catalyst event for like all the transformation happened about 4 years ago. It was after my dad died and just this horrible string of events. And so, in the military, I sought out, I went to mental health, like voluntarily. Hey, please help me. And they gave me the counseling, and they gave me this, and they gave me all these medications.
The pills.
And, honestly, and oh my God, I've tried every, medication under the sun, and, one of them will like not work at all. And then the other one, well, it works, but I can't have an orgasm now. It's an antidepressant, but it really depresses me to not have the side effects more than not exactly. I know. And then, no kidding. They would give me a pill to take care of that. And it was just this pills which didn't work, and it was a Band-Aid at best. And honestly, a lot of it just made it worse. I just gave up,
Right.
I really did. And so after I got out, I had some more freedom now. And so I started looking into stuff. And one of the things that I tried that wouldn't have been possible in the military was ketamine.
What's ketamine?
It's a
we got a nurse with us. What's ketamine?
Oh,
Special K.
Oh,
It's both a tranquilizer and a party drug.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it's not like pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Oh no, they'll use it. It's
they do.
Yeah. They
I
use
see.
it as a tranquilizer.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I think it would have a lot of use in ERs for like immediate relief of suicidal thoughts.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Yeah, right now. Shoot 'em
Yeah.
up.
And it was interesting. It was a fascinating kind of journey into the mind. I did it totally legally, therapeutically. Salt Lake City, there was a guy with a great veterans discount. And normally you do like 6 sessions. And my, as of yesterday, ex-wife was lovely. She held my hand during the sessions. And
How about that?
yeah, you journey into the mind. But to me, it was because it is ultimately a tranquilizer. It just brought you into unconsciousness. Was not, what I needed. I needed something else, and there was no integration or therapy around it. So to me, it was an immediate relief. It was very interesting, but
Right.
it was not a cure. Certainly,
Therapeutic.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
and my ex even looked into what do you call it?
Like Molly or mushroom.
No. We weren't there yet. No, I'm thinking more One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, ECT, right? It's not as barbaric as One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but it is available. But oh my gosh, what a commitment! That is a big commitment of time and care and everything. And honestly, as somebody who watched and read and met Ken Kesey, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest kind of sticks in my head.
Yeah.
So I never went that route. I know people who have, but I never went that route.
what's that one that Mike Tyson did? He was like licking
DMT.
toads or something, or
DMT.
DMT.
Yeah, I've not done it, but I have a lot to say about it and a lot of interest in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sounds
put a pin in
interesting.
that
It's to listen to Mike Tyson talk about it.
Oh, yes.
It really changed
Absolutely.
him. Really.
Absolutely. And I looked him up after watching a video about his experience to see if there was any more crimes, and there weren't. Yeah. Oh, I have a lot to say about DMT, but that isn't my journey. We'll pin in that.
Right.
So anyway, and then it was even a couple years ago, I read about psilocybin, magic mushrooms.
Okay.
And as soon as I read about it, I knew that was the answer. And I went online to order some syringes, because you can order them legally in almost every state for research purposes. You can't, And I just sat on the shelf. I mean, I knew that was the answer, but I just, for whatever reason, I don't know. It intimidated me. Mm-hmm. And then I had an experience last November at Veterans Day. And when I came out of it, I realized the most important thing in my life is healing. Right. And I need to heal.
How about that?
And I looked up at those syringes, but I knew I couldn't do it alone.
Yeah.
And so I sought out a place that I believed was the safest place to experience the magic mushrooms.
Right.
For, unfortunately tragic reasons. Psilocybin is a Schedule I drug, so I won't talk about the when and where and who. But I sought out a shaman, psychologist, in a safe environment and a group environment. And it was the single most powerful transformational experience of my life.
That was DMT?
No, it wasn't. It was psilocybin.
Oh, it was psilocybin.
It was psilocybin.
And you're doing that with a syringe?
No.
Just eating the mushroom?
No, it was a cup of tea, which I think is so beautiful.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah. This psychologist, this shaman, handed me a cup of tea, and my life changed completely.
Wow.
And
That's
I was
a big statement, man.
It was
a purge. Was it a purge
of
emotion, or?
That's an understatement, but yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, it was like a nuclear explosion in my heart. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I grew up in kind of a, frankly, waspy family that was not into emotions. Yeah. And, I'm a boy. I'm a Gen X boy, and boys don't cry, right? Like the Cure song.
Not loud.
And then, the profession I chose, I talk about, emotional repression. Suck it up, buttercup.
Exactly.
There's no time for your fear, no time for anything.
Right.
You do your fucking job and you suck it up. And therapy in the military, historically, we know what that is.
Yeah.
Glug.
Right.
That's your antidepressant right there. Alcohol. And oh my God, it's rampant in the military. It's rampant. Yeah. And they don't have a good cure for it when you do fall prey to that,
It's legal.
Yeah. So anyway, so the mushroom experience to me, as soon as I read about it, I knew it was the answer. And I put it this way. It sounded to me when I read about it like a sleeping pill for my ego. And if I could take that sleeping pill for my ego, I could get back there and find the pieces of the puzzle I was always trying to solve my whole life. Because that's what it felt like. I have this problem-solving mind, and I was trying to solve all the pieces of the puzzle. But I didn't have all the pieces. I thought they were in other people's heads, but no, they're all in my head. I just need to get back there, but my ego won't let me.
Yeah.
And so I went into that experience, and just to give like an idea of how extraordinary it was during the military, especially on the officer side, we do a lot of Myers-Briggs personality 360 shit. And I did the Myers-Briggs many times, and I always came out the same way, you know, and the I, it was always the I, especially. Other stuff might flip. I was always the introvert, always the introvert. Mm-hmm. And the minute that T really hit me, it was a complete flip. Extrovert all the way. And in fact, I had a counselor afterwards have me retake the Myers-Briggs, and it literally was a complete flip of what I was for the last 25 years in the military.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And,
interesting.
Yeah. And the other extraordinary thing was the physicality of it all. You know, a lot of the people in the room, I think there was, I don't know, 12, 13 of us, most of them were just laying down the whole time. Oh, not me. Oh, not me. Like, it was like literally pounding on my chest, really? Like to the point that I believe my heart chakra, you know, fucking exploded, and I had a Kundalini awakening. Honestly, that's how crazy it was.
That's great.
And yeah, and I came out of it just on fire, and I saw everybody else who'd been through it, and they're all sitting around the table like, "What's wrong? Did somebody else die? My God, my God!" We all just saw, you know, the gates of reality opened up, and you know, saw God. And no, I guess, you know,
they didn't.
I guess not.
Quite as much.
Yeah, we're all on our own path, right? And it just, for whatever reason, I think because I was so fucking repressed, frankly, that it just exploded in this really powerful way. And yeah, I came home, and yeah, within days, probably 48 hours, the wife and I split.
Wow.
Because it was like this recognition of, oh, the mask is off, and you don't even recognize me, and I don't even recognize you. Because there was like kind of a new Benjamin revealed, you know, not the one she knew.
You guys
and
put some time in together.
25 years, raised two beautiful kids. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, amazing children.
So you're always going to be friends.
Yeah. You know, it's been obviously hard through the divorce, but I'll tell you, as soon as it got final yesterday, I sat down and I sent her an email, and the title of the email was Healing. And it was basically the most kind, loving olive branch that I was capable of that time. And I signed it Love Benjamin. And you know what? She replied back, and she gave me this wonderful update on what was going on with our younger daughter, which is exactly what I was so frustrated, because we weren't co-parenting. We weren't talking about that stuff. And boom, I got exactly what I wanted. I just needed to give her some love. And she signed it Love, Love Heather. And I mean, how beautiful is that?
How cool is
within
that?
hours of the court calling to say, it's final.
Right.
That we were able to kind of establish some peace there.
Wow.
So again, you
that's
know,
so good for the kids too.
I know, right?
That's,
yeah.
You know, carrying forward.
Yeah. But again, back to, you know, that key word I brought up at the beginning, healing, right?
Right.
That was healing, you know.
Right. That's a huge step.
I always talk about like our childhood, how we are programmed.
Oh God,
our childhood, you know. And we all need a little bit of healing.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's got, you know, trauma to some degree or another. Yeah. Some of us, you know, got a little rougher than others, you know, but we all do. Yeah.
But everybody handles it differently. So some people can have less and take it worse. And some people can just get hit by everything
and
smile.
You know, the most beautiful thing in the world to me is when two people who've had that trauma can somehow come together and heal each other, because I've seen that happen in life. The most tragic thing that happens when two people have had that trauma come together and they just make it worse.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen too. And I think, unfortunately, that's a lot of, you know, maybe what happened in my marriage. Yeah. But I've had other friends who've been through trauma, and we really are able to heal, you know, so,
Right.
What an amazing story.
Yeah.
Well, it ain't over yet. Yeah.
Well, the transformation and the psilocybin experience, I think. That's amazing.
Yeah. And the so the second day of this basically spiritual retreat, it was MDMA, which you know, has shown remarkable, statistically phenomenal results for veterans with PTSD.
That's what I've been.
Oh my God. I could show you statistics, I could show you videos. It is life-changing. Now, for me, the day before I had the heroic dose, you know, of psilocybin, and had my entire life, personality, outlook, understanding of myself, reality, God changed.
Right out of
so
your
the
soul.
MDMA was just kind of like, oh, I love everybody. I love everything.
Right.
I mean, I'd already been healed at that point.
Yeah,
I was just in love with everything at that point. And then the third night was THC. I'm like, so I'm going to smoke less THC than a typical night, and this is supposed to be an experience for me. But anyway, it was fine because I just needed the last day to honestly to unwind.
Right.
Yeah, and it was amazing. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, I felt like I had been lacking going in that journey was more male friends. For whatever reason, my friends had always been female. And I wound up with this just amazing roommate who has become, I mean, basically my best friend lately,
Really?
my best male friend. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Yeah, and I did a second dose of psilocybin under his trip-sitting care.
Trip-sitting care.
Yeah. And
That's good to have.
I just met the most amazing people. I really, really did. And yeah, since then, it has just been a spiritual roller coaster. You know, so you guys know Timothy Leary, LSD, tune in, drop out. Kind of don't like the guy. I kind of feel like he ruined everything for everybody. But he had a buddy that doesn't get maybe as much press, at least not back then, Ram Dass. And Ram Dass, he did the psychedelics, but instead of just becoming the zealot for psychedelics, it just launched him on this amazing spiritual journey. And there's a great Netflix documentary, by the way, about his final days. He had a stroke.
Really?
Yeah. And before his stroke, he wrote this book called How Can I Help? Because that was like his spiritual outlook on life, summarized in one question, one sentence. How can I help? You know, how can I heal? And here he was in this stroke, totally debilitated in a wheelchair, like helpless, diaper probably. And he's like, well, if I could rewrite the book today, I'd call it How Can You Help Me? And, you know, yeah, he just has this, you know, philosophy of like, we're all here to carry each other home. We're all here to help heal each other. So I kept thinking about him a lot after the journey because it was like that experience that I had of this just 6-hour cup of tea, you know,
right.
50 years almost of depression and misery just lifted in an instant and still to this day gone. My God, when you get healed like that, all you want to do is, you know, help everybody else. So yeah. So I'm feeling Ram Dass. How can I help?
Take me deeper into that. Tell me what's going on in your brain. That's a big statement to have lose 50 years of depression in a day because of a drug.
Yeah.
A drug, you want to call it a drug, because of something like that.
Plant medicine, we call it. Never drug. Plant medicine. Yeah.
Plant medicine.
It's deeply
natural healing.
The white man didn't discover it till 1955. This is deep spiritual shit. Yeah. Whoa. God, I wish I had brought. If I'd known that question was coming, I actually would have brought a visual aid. So the night after that, this lovely woman asked me, as I'm in the midst of bliss, Ben, do you paint? I said, well, I never have before, but that doesn't mean I can't. And so she led me over to this canvas, and it was blank, and I looked at it for like 30 seconds, like, oh, I know I'm painting. And it is this kind of silhouette of a face, and eyes, and nose, a vague mouth, and all around it is this blue and purple, this chaos, all that chaos of life, drama and money and pride and relationships, blah, blah, blah. But right here, where the brain is, I left it blank, and that's, I think, what it was. It was that discovery of that clear, conscious, loving presence that's there all the time.
Right.
Amidst all the
Yeah. Like, I mean, do you guys know Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now?
It sounds familiar.
Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah. He's now very famous. Oprah had him on, and now he's like legendary in the whole, whatever New Age circuit and everything. But I met him back in the 90s. No kidding. Before he was famous, before he had an American book publisher, before Oprah and everything. Wow. He came to this little church in Omaha, Nebraska. $5 suggested donation. Way better than you're going to do now with Eckhart Tolle. But I met him, and I was just blown away by him. I saw his aura, and I don't believe in auras. I think it's bullshit, but I saw it, right? And I met him, and I still have the autograph. But his whole thing was like, we keep identifying with all these thoughts and all these feelings, and we think this is us. We think the body is us, but we completely misunderstand who we are. And what we really, really are at the deepest level is the awareness of all of it. Because that awareness is always there. It's always there. We're aware of our thoughts. We're aware of our minds. We're aware of our feelings, aware of our body. And if we can somehow identify with that awareness instead of all the just transitory chaos, there's peace.
We're a crazy animal, aren't we?
I know. And as soon as, like, he explained it, as soon as I met him, I felt it, I understood it, I got it, but I didn't know it, right?
I see.
And when I came out of the psilocybin journey, when all the clouds of depression and everything were lifted, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what he's talking about, just like I always did. But now I feel it, now I know it, now I experience it. Yeah, and so even with all the craziness of the last, a few months of my life. Oh my God, it's been insane. I can always finally go back to that clear, present awareness and know that that's actually me.
Right.
Yeah.
You just came in here today happy.
Yeah.
You just, I'm having a great week.
Yeah.
While you were standing here, the apartment calls you and confirms whether you get an apartment. You're like, I get to go get my pug.
Yeah.
Go get my dog.
I know.
And you're so stoked when you came in. I'm like, I got to sit and talk with this guy.
Yesterday, I lost about $1.3 million.
Oh, no.
Course. Yeah. Don't care at all. Doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. It's another clearing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I've known people with extraordinary wealth, and it seems to accompany misery, honestly.
Sure.
Honestly, it really does. The most wealthy people I know have often been the most miserable.
Right. I've seen the other way, too.
Of course. Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
But, yeah, I think...
Trade your soul at the crossroads or something. I don't know.
I one translation I heard from the New Testament is the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And I've seen that. Not all evil, but all kinds of evil. Yeah.
Were you raised religiously?
No, not at all. Oh
no.
My gosh, no. My parents, my dad was Catholic, raised altar boy and all that. My mom was more Disciples of Christ liberal. But no, I mean, this was the 60s, man, before I was born. No, they were... Yeah, they left all that behind. So my upbringing was more like, if you were to look at the bookshelf in our library, it was Shirley MacLaine, and reincarnation and chakras and Carlos Castaneda. I'm probably mispronouncing that, with mescaline. So yeah, here I am as a teenager looking through my mom's bookshelf, just devouring it all. And I'm reading this psychedelic story of this Indian peyote medicine. So I guess it was all kind of buried deep in there.
So San Francisco, I love it.
Yeah. So maybe the story of the LSD and reading all those crazy books on the shelf, maybe it just planted some seed that, later on when I needed.
That's kind of what I was getting at a little bit. Did you think that was somewhere in you?
Oh, yeah.
And just all of a sudden you were just got the okay to just let the fuck go.
It honestly, it's even more than that. It's more than that. It feels,
I think.
Yeah.
It feels like almost a script. It feels like a story. It feels like my life has been this amazing story written by some crazy author named God or something. You know what I mean? There's just too many crazy turns. Yeah. It does feel like I'm just kind of watching this amazing story unfold, and I'm just grateful for it. One of the other things that changed after the cup of tea was this. I was so type A, overachiever. I mean, think about it. Military officer. I went from a high school grad coming in enlisted to having a 4 master's degree at the end, and built this, business and da-da-da-da-da. And I mean, just constantly chasing after all this gold star and all this external achievement and everything. And it was all at the end just bullshit making me miserable. It's not what it's all about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an interesting journey, man.
Yeah.
It does.
Feel like I've been talking too damn much.
I'm trying not to guide this at all.
Oh, okay.
The name of the show is What's Next?
Yeah, well, it's so funny. It's so funny.
What's next, brother?
Yeah.
What a great time for you to fall into this hole.
I know.
Man.
I texted my best friend about this podcast thing, and she said, well, what's it about? And I said, well, I think it's pretty, open to what we do, but it's called What Next? And she said, oh my God, that's so perfect for you, because that's the question I've been asking ever since, is what next? What's next? What's next? I have a therapist. I've been saying that what's next, and he keeps telling me to relax and let it unfold. But it is the journey, because I'm in this weird place where suddenly I'm not married. My kids are essentially grown, provided for through college. I don't need to work. I don't need to do anything. So I have this either empty plate or no plate at all. And what's next has been actually the 100% question on my mind. So what wonderful serendipity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was telling you a little bit. I was, before the pandemic, I was thinking, what's next for the middle class?
Yes.
What's next for the blue collar? We seem to be passing all the manufacturing across the seas, and seem to be losing, Detroit's falling apart, steel industry, the oil's gone, what's next for us?
Yeah.
Then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that just opened up a whole new can of worms. You could go anywhere. What's next?
Yeah. I was such a voracious reader as a kid, and I loved memorizing certain things, especially for whatever opening lines of books. So the opening line of The Great Gatsby goes like this. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave to me a piece of advice that I've been turning over in my head ever since. Whenever you feel like judging anyone, he said, just remember, not everybody has had the advantages that you've had. And the reason I say that is because I have been a remarkably privileged person. I don't just mean financially. I mean intellectually, and the opportunities, the people I was exposed to as a teenager. Mind-blowing. I mean, the people I've met in my life, oh my God.
Right.
I've had opportunities most people don't have.
Right.
And that's an advantage in life. And so, I've thought a lot about,
you don't take that for granted.
Oh, I don't at all.
Glad
I feel like I owe.
Right.
I owe, yeah. And so that's what I think is unfortunate, especially having traveled all over this country through the military, living, in places like Alabama where the schools are just shit. If you're poor, you got no fucking chance, unless you're really unique or you get some great opportunity,
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it really is hard out there because not everybody gets the advantages I had. And, even raising my kids, every time we moved to a new town in the military, the first question is, where's the good school districts? And when we couldn't find them, we put them in public school. And that's great for my kids, but most people don't have that opportunity. They're stuck with what they got. And, my parents never, gave me a dime, but they didn't have to. I learned how to succeed by watching them, by watching the people in the town I grew up with. You grow up around that. You just watch the habits of success. I've never read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but I think that's the premise. You watch the habits of the rich dad, you just learn. And you have a poor dad, you follow those stupid patterns. I mean, that's the way, unfortunately, humanity works. We pass on this garbage or goodness to our kids, and it's all just seems kind of random. Yeah, and
the garbage that we gathered through our life, we pass it on with good, better, and different, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, and I think what most people are just screaming out for is healing. Emotional, physical, psychological, spiritual. That's what we all need. That's what the drug problem's all about. That's what crime's all about.
You do have an idea.
Yeah. I know, and so let's make it really personal. Let's talk about my psilocybin journey that changed my life. I'll tell you this. It was expensive. It was thousands of dollars.
Was it really?
I wanted to do it safe. And I wanted a psychologist. I wanted this. I wanted that. I wanted my, first class, rich boy psychedelic shaman experience, right? Because that's safe. And when you're talking about this stuff, safety matters, right? You want your kids at a safe school. You're putting your mind in somebody else's hand. You want safety.
There that knows what they're doing. While
if I flip out, I want a psychologist there. I do. And I want them to have an insurance and a lawyer. And I don't want them to be worried about me. I want them to be worried I'm going to sue them or whatever. You know what I mean? Because it's serious.
This one needs to write it out.
It's serious business.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know when somebody has some undiagnosed medical condition that's going to whatever, right?
Well, you hear about people going down over across, and going down and seeing a shaman. And
and people have died doing that.
Have they?
Yeah, not often. I don't mean to exaggerate it, but ayahuasca, is dicey. And if something goes wrong, how are the hospitals and how far away and how are you getting? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
So anyway, so in the people who went there, again, I would never disclose any identities, but I'll tell you, they were smart and they were successful and they were lawyers and they were IT and they were all the, sort of rich white people you might expect to have that money laying around for their healing. And so, one of the things that I was thinking about afterwards was, well, what about the people who need healing a lot more than me and they can't get it? Mm-hmm. They don't have the research, the know-how, the whatever to go down this rabbit hole I went down. I mean, I went down a serious research rabbit hole to find this stuff.
Right. I think you're the kind of person that would. I think there's a lot of people that won't.
Yeah. I mean, they stop at the Prozac and go, oh, well, my dick doesn't work now, but I feel happier, so whatever. And that's they're willing to live with that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so I guess
willing to search and find that.
And so, kind of like I was talking about Afghanistan earlier about how, hey, I don't feel bad for the Americans because at least we have access to help. It's kind of like that. They're really, really poor, like worse than our poor. They have no access to help. But talking more locally about people in America, I mean, there's a lot of healing to be had, but the poor just don't have access to it. It's changing. One of the things that's been really interesting coming from Utah, that's where I came from a few months ago to here, has been
going on in Utah.
I mean,
sorry, didn't cut you off.
It is beautiful and it's changing and it's wonderful and I have a lot of love for it, but. The whole, whatever Mormon cookie cutter thing. I don't think that's healthy. But anyway, coming to California, it has been remarkable to me how many people I'm running across who are into all the same stuff I'm into. Now, part of that maybe is I'm seeking them out. Maybe the universe is bringing them to me. Maybe I just give off the sort of vibe that people want to talk about mushrooms.
You are in California.
I know. But it's been remarkable. And so, I've turned on my friends to the healing of this. There's churches and, places like Oakland where you can access it so affordably and readily. And I think that's great. Santa Cruz is decriminalized. I understand there's like legislation at the California level to legalize psychedelics. And, so I think it's good that this access to the medicine is going to be really readily available to produce, especially the mushrooms it's almost nothing. I could, easily produce enough for the whole country of California or state of California pretty easily. Yeah. The worry is that, maybe the pharmaceuticals will come in and they'll become, because think about it. I can produce mushrooms for somebody for basically nothing. I can give them one dose and theoretically they're cured. It's a lot more affordable to give them SSRIs every day for the next 10 years and charge the insurance companies and everything.
Or they'll end up making a synthetic blend.
Yeah, and that's honestly kind of maybe one of the most serious worries. So the white man discovered psilocybin in 1955. It was this, I think, stockbroker who was really interested in fungi, and as a lark, he went down to South America because that's where it gets interesting. And he was introduced to these mushrooms. He came back, he talked to Life magazine, and they coined the term magic mushrooms. It's on the cover of Life magazine, 1955, I think.
Okay.
And and then of course, the 60s, it got all political, Vietnam and everything, and it got Schedule 1 and no research was done until, last 10, 15 years. Now the research is being restarted and it's just fantastic, fantastic. But what's interesting and where I was starting to go with that was back in 1955, that man who brought it to America, the woman who introduced him to it, she was shunned and she was so ashamed and so regretful she'd introduced it to the white man.
Really?
Because we've disrespected it. And honestly, if I look back at the 60s and the way we treated psychedelics back then, I can understand that perspective. I really can. And what's amazing is we seem to be on the cusp of second psychedelic revolution where we are approaching it with respect and not as a fun toy. And I'm not against fun. Go have divine fun. That's great. Wonderful. I'm not knocking that, but that's not the real value to me. The real value to me is the spiritual part, the healing part, that emotional part. Because if talk therapy helps somebody, wonderful. If these SSRIs help somebody, wonderful. But there's a lot of people out like me who just aren't finding help from the traditional ways. But these plant medicines that have been, healing human beings for, centuries, thousands of years. Yeah. There is really something deep to this. The Aztecs obviously have, deep roots in this. I'm reading a book right now called The Immortality Key, looking at like the Greek, Dionysus, born of a virgin, resurrected, all that stuff, echoes of Jesus, right? And there was a lot of looks at this, at psychedelics maybe being a piece of that. And, obviously pure speculation, but
you
looking.
hear a lot of different things like that, where they're starting to uncover, like, maybe.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this. And here we can go to DMT now. I'll tell you this. There is something profoundly spiritual about this plant medicine. I did not go looking for spirituality. I went looking for a cure for my depression, plain and simple. That's all I wanted. But what I found wasn't just the psychological relief. It was spiritual revelation and realizing, those are the same thing. Maybe spiritual relief, psychological, it's the same thing. Maybe the body relief is the same thing. All the healing is all interconnected somehow, right? That's what it seems. Right. So I've never taken DMT, but I love to talk about it. I'm fascinated by it. I brought it up one time at a cigar bar, and the guy next to me said, I have some in my pocket right now. I'm like, do you have some to spare? Like, no, now's not the time. But it's fascinating. So let me talk about DMT. We can talk about Mike Tyson, but here is what's so interesting to me about DMT. It is, I think, synthetically produced as we take it, smoked usually 3 times. But here's what's interesting. Where else is it produced? 3 places in the human body. Yes.
Not your hippocampus, your pituitary?
Yes. Yeah. It is in the pituitary gland and the lungs and the gut. How interesting. And there's no, scientific certainty on this and plenty of opinions, but how interesting that this psychedelic is produced in our body, including in the brain. And from what I'm told,
being a drug manufacturer,
I know, I'm carrying. What's so interesting to me, not having done it myself, but as a keen observer, it just sounds like a near-death experience. It sounds like a death experience, frankly. It sounds like the stripping away of all of your identity and all that you are over the course of 15 minutes. Yeah.
Pretty intense.
And so it seems like that death you experience under DMT is death. And so perhaps what happens when you die is the release of the DMT in your body. Now, some would say there's not enough to have an effect, but when my father died 4 years ago, I wasn't there, but the first thing I asked when I got home was, tell me about the moment, tell me about the exact moment he died, because he was conscious. And it sounded like the way they described it, almost like a psychedelic experience. He was just looking up like,
wow. Really?
Yeah. And I know that feeling. I've felt that feeling. Oh my God, it's God. Yeah. And that seemed to be the experience he had at his death. And I can't help but wonder if that DMT somehow gets in your stream and you have your psychedelic experience. So maybe all of the religious experiences of life, you can read William James' variety of religious experience, all that. Maybe all of that to some degree is a psychedelic experience. And maybe it's through the DMT in your body. Maybe it's through breathing. There's all sorts of like holotropic breathing that can bring it out. Psychedelic experiences, meditation, yoga. Some people will go, decades looking for a Kundalini awakening. Other people just have it laying in their lap, like me.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. And so I think all of this experience of religiosity, spirituality, I think it's all kind of the same place.
Well, when I listened to that Mike Tyson one, he said that he thought that he maybe got too much and he was dying.
Yeah.
He was dying.
That's what it is.
He was like, bring me back. He actually thought he was on the edge of death.
Yeah. That's what you're supposed to feel.
And then it just,
yeah.
Other people have said that too. It's like, wow, that's intense.
And
just get jerked out of this.
Yeah. And so the book I mentioned, The Immortality Key, you can look up some YouTube videos if you just want to see the gist of it. But basically, they're saying the key to life is to die before you die. And so DMT perhaps is a way to die before you die.
Right.
And so psilocybin for me was, the cure for depression, and it was a new spiritual path for other people. I mean, like at Oxford, they've used it to like stop smoking. Or, other addictions. Bill W., who founded AA, wanted to bring LSD into the 12-step program. Obviously, he was outvoted. But, I mean, that's the kind of therapeutic value they've found in these psychedelics that the world is so dead set on keeping illegal. Yeah. But, I think, the people have spoken. I mean, California seems to have been spoken, certainly in cities, Oregon, Denver, and...
It's a slow change. It's I never understood how something like marijuana could be worse than heroin in their eyes.
It's an absurdity. Yeah, it's politics.
How is that? That just shines a light on what some bullshit politics going on.
Yeah, and
some money grabbing. There was some kind of cover, some kind of this was going bad. Movie industry. Yeah, it's all.
It always comes back to money to me. Marijuana is extraordinarily affordable. You can grow it yourself, and it's a threat to the opioids and many other, substances, just like mushrooms is a threat to the SSRIs. Mm-hmm. Money. I mean, as sad as it is, that's what makes this world work,
But I think with all the, the veterans that we have with PTSD, I feel like, it might become a regular thing.
I think you're spot on, and I've said that so many times. I think what's going to make these psychedelics move so quickly into legalization is people like me, because when they see that you can give a vet from Iraq with PTSD, MDMA, walk him through 4 hours of therapy and cure him, you'd be a monster to deny that. Right. A monster.
Moving that
bus. Already so behind and tied up as it is,
Oh my God! Yeah. I just today I got a dermatology appointment. It's via a video, and it's in 4 months. Yeah. Like, God forbid I have skin cancer, Jesus! And I don't know how you see how my moles are like protruding on a camera, but whatever. Yeah, I mean that's the world we're in. And I'll tell you, as somebody, because I have no secrets, as somebody who's been inside a VA psych ward, a week in there will make you crazy if you're not crazy already. I mean, it's not healing, it's not therapeutic, and we need to just.
The opposite.
Yeah, it is the opposite. It is the opposite. Yeah,
be around that kind of energy.
Yeah, exactly.
100 times fold.
Yeah. It's basically like voluntarily confining yourself to prison if you go there. Right. Yeah, and no disrespect to the folks who work there. We're all kind of victims of the rules of our world and our
It's at a different level of insanity.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel optimistic. I think the marijuana took a long time to legalize, but it's moving so quickly with the mushrooms and the psychedelics, and even in Utah, there's a church called the Divine Assembly in Salt Lake City. It was established by a lawyer and former state congressman, a former Mormon. And he was on the state legislator, and I guess he had some kind of spiritual experience, and now he's got a mushroom church. And how wonderful that he's a lawyer, and hopefully that can provide some freedom of religion protection for what I think is a really legitimate spiritual path. Yeah. So even in Utah, yeah, right. And there's a wonderful podcast called Mormons on Mushrooms, which is all about Mormons who have left the church and found a spiritual path in sacred plants.
Wow.
Yeah. No, even in Utah. And, medical marijuana is legal in Utah now against the wishes of the church there. That's how powerful the people's voice was there. So,
I've worked on quite a few Mormons here.
Yeah.
Actually, my last employee was from a Mormon family.
Yeah. I was in Utah when I was in high school.
Oh yeah.
Did you feel like an outsider there, or?
Well, I was an outsider because it was like a reform school, so it's out in the middle of nowhere. And my mom took me, got me out of here because I just, I wasn't going to school and I was partying and stuff. And I was in this little farm in Kusharim, Utah, and it's all the degenerate kids from all across the and it was a good experience. I mean, I learned a lot. I think it might have corrupted me a little bit.
It always does. It's like prison is grad school for criminals, right?
It's so funny.
Levels, those high levels. And so when you're, we started selling cigarettes, and I brought weed in when I first got there, so on these levels, if you do well, you go to like level 4, and if you mess up, you drop down to level 1 and you go into like isolation.
Oh.
So they take you out to, it's almost like, they take you out literally out in the middle of the wilderness, and everybody camps out, and at night all you can just see is like all the people that got in trouble. You see the little
distant.
Yeah.
So
all the employees were Mormon.
Oh, great. So did they try to kind of push their views on you, or were they pretty hands off about that sort of thing?
They didn't push the Mormon views, but we did attend alcoholic, we did AA classes, and I finished high school there.
Yeah.
Worked on the farm, they had stables and things like that. So, I mean, it was kind of fun. And when we had...
It's an adventure.
We're just saying, like, they'd take you out in the woods and, like, don't let your fire go out. See you later. Like,
fire girl,
wow.
But I know how to survive in the wilderness, off flour and water.
Right.
So clearly you're not a degenerate anymore. What was your healing path?
My healing path, I think, was probably my second DUI, and Steve and I talked about this.
Nice.
And the disappointment in my mom's face.
It's
just like kind of like cuts like a knife.
Yeah.
I'm Filipino, and it's just been me and my mom. That look on her face. It's like, how many times is my daughter gonna go through this shit?
Yeah.
And after that, you can't drive for a year. Your freedom's gone.
Yeah, it's humiliating, but
it's
humbling.
Very humbling. And
ankle strap.
What's that?
Ankle strap and the whole thing.
I was on house arrest for like 40 days.
Damn.
And my mom would take me to microbiology because I was taking my prerequisites for nursing. So she would drop me off. I'd have an ankle bracelet on. I'd have to be back before 9:00.
Wow,
that's rough.
But hey, I'm a nurse now. I did it, bitches.
Oh, nice. I've never had a DUI, but it's possible I deserved a few. Who knows?
Right. I'm not gonna say
but you're a nurse now. That's fantastic.
I am.
Oh, well, what kind of nursing?
I work in acute rehab, so I'm a charge nurse.
Okay.
It's stressful.
My ex is a nurse. Yeah. Yeah. It's been quite a journey for her. Well, it's probably been a fun ride the last year and a half, right?
Yeah. We're tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Speaking for a lot of my friends in nursing, we're tired.
Yeah. Sure.
Just.
Long couple of years.
It's been a long
stressful.
year and a half, and it's very, very scary. I didn't work directly with COVID patients.
Yeah, but it's always there impacting you.
It's always there, and it's a trickle down effect.
Sure.
So it was really difficult emotionally, staffing wise. It affects your family. It affects your social life and everything. I couldn't see my mom.
Yeah.
For a long while, and staffing was fucked up, and you you're always, you're wearing all your protective gear
all day long.
You get mask knee.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
And even now, like, we're really burnt out.
So
to this day,
may I ask what next?
What's next? I don't.
You're gonna keep plugging away at nursing for years ahead, or?
Well, see, I've been throwing it out to Steve. Like, we need some assets. We need to have that income. That income that we don't have to work.
Oh, passive income. Yeah, real estate shit, man.
So I don't know.
I've tried real estate.
Not in fucking California. This place is crazy.
No, in Michigan, I had some forfeit.
That's dicey too. It's a complicated game. It's a complicated game. For people who don't want to do the work, though, I mean, it's a patience game with index funds for most people, but you got to start young. So, yeah.
So what's next, brother?
That's a damn good question. So,
not time to ask that.
Yeah. So
it may just be a little too soon to what's next.
And I was talking with that question months ago with my therapist. Oh, what's next? I got to figure it out. I got to control it. And he's like, no, this is the work right now, man. Your healing is the work right now. But what I feel is that I've got a lot of gifts, right? I've got a gift of all this time, all this energy, all this, extrovertism, reading, writing, whatever skills I might have picked up in the military, leadership, who knows? And I feel like all of it's kind of eventually going to lead up to something. I don't know if that's writing or talking or being a therapist of some kind. Who the hell knows? But yeah, I mean, for me, after maybe podcasting, I do have a face made for podcasting. Yeah. But for me, the most extraordinary physical, mental, spiritual, emotional experience of my life was that psychedelic journey I had. So whatever I do has to be somehow related to that. Because it's kind of like, somebody hands you a treasure and it means the world to you. All you want to do is hand it to somebody else. Right. And I'm not suggesting it's for everybody. I mean, this is a serious
that's interesting.
entry path. But for people like me who've tried everything and nothing worked, it might actually be the thing that saves your fucking life.
Right.
And I'm all about
and you're so smart and well-spoken, you may be able to take it to the people.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
We need people like you.
I mean, and I've thought about, could I be, maybe an advocate for it? I mean, coming, as a veteran who I've got pictures with, George Bush, Rumsfeld, and shit.
Exactly.
That gives you cred, especially, with some of my background. But yeah, so maybe it's advocacy, maybe it's speaking, maybe it's just one-on-one working with people who are journeying through it. I don't know. But I'm going to quote my spirit animal MCA of the Beastie Boys. He, oh God, he's so fucking cool. Oh my God. After he
was a heroin addict.
well, and that's what I love about MCA is like, he was a, whatever sexist clown the first couple albums, but then he converted to Buddhism and he's like became one of the most amazing spiritual creative fuckers in the world.
Still good music.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Yeah. Paul's Boutique, man. Damn. But, anyway.
Ill communication on vinyl.
Oh yeah. I was in I was in fucking Uzbekistan or some shit when he died. Yeah, I still have, anyway. Almost 10 years next year. But he has a line. I love all his lines, but he has this one line called "There is no other worthy quest." There is no other worthy quest. And after having this experience of drinking this tea, being healed of all of this, and as far as I'm concerned, seeing God, I don't know what other worthy quest there is. So I think it needs to be down this road.
But just to have that quote in your head.
There is no other worthy quest.
You were ready for
I got quotes all over the place, man.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Oh, I could do the whole, Prince's "Let's Go Crazy," dearly beloved.
So back up. How did we get to $1 million? Did you have like a company while you were in the service?
So I was in the military, and that was what I was doing, and I was putting money into index funds because that's the lazy way to get rich, right? Okay. And then after the crash of '08. There was some stuff in California going for $250,000 that was suddenly 60, 70. And, respect to my brother, he discovered some cheap stuff.
Really?
And I had the cash and cashed out of some index funds and bought it. And then once I saw, how easy it was to make money on the real estate, every time I moved, I'd buy a house, I'd rent it, I'd buy a house, rent it. And yeah. And it's so funny because I was doing all of this on my own, and I realized there's actually all these communities out there that are doing exactly what I was doing. I just didn't know about them. So like there's the FIRE community, Financial Independence Retire Early, which is all about that, frugal living and then throwing all your money into index funds. because mathematically that's just how you get rich over time, right?
Right.
You're like, oh yeah, that's what I was doing. I didn't know there was people who already figured that out. Oh well. And then, Bigger Pockets is another great podcast where they talk about the real estate side of it. So yeah, between the index investing, which is so easy and everybody should do, very young,
right,
and then the real estate stuff, if you're up for that and if you're up for the risk and the research, because it is a hell of a lot more work than the index funds. But yeah, those are kind of two paths. So yeah, while I was in the military earning the pension and everything, just found the right people to manage the properties and keep it going while I didn't have to worry about it, and it just grew and grew and grew.
Without you really having to take your eyes off of the
it's such a lazy way to make money. Yeah, I mean, obviously it can go wrong.
Well, you're
I had a
paying
house,
people to do it.
And shit goes wrong. I had a place in Salinas that literally burned down. The tenants burned it down. But you know what? You just look at it glass half full. Okay, I can rebuild it and put in granite countertops, and now it's the best place there.
Oh, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good move.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that, I think back to the whole rich dad, poor dad thing, you see how people get rich when you grow up around rich people, and if you grow up around poor people, you just see how people get poor.
Right.
It's like, imagine a mom who, gets pregnant out of wedlock as a teenager, has a kid. Their kid gets pregnant out of wedlock. It's cycles of poverty. It's cycles of ignorance. It's tragic. It's tragic. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, if there's ways that, people who, have those skills and everything and somehow reach those kids in an impressionable age and show them this is how you succeed. This is how you be happy. This is how you be healthy. And, not that, wealth equals healthy and happiness, but, there's habits for all these things. There's habits of wealth. There's habits of happiness. There's habits of, all these things. And some people, get exposed to that early on and embrace it. Other people just don't even ever get exposed to it, and they don't know there's better ways to live. There's ways to get healed and all that shit.
You got to bring it to him, man.
Yeah. I'll go be Surfer Jesus. I do have the look.
You got the look.
Well, every place you visit now that you're here in California, you just might encounter somebody and just might, touch their life and make a difference.
Yeah.
I think that's how it'll happen.
Yeah.
And then more people will kind of know you. You know that guy, Ben.
Yeah, my
From the Live Well podcast. Oh yeah.
my man Eckhart Tolle. That's how he began. So he had his kind of epiphany, in a similar way to me, not mushrooms, but in a deep existential suicidal angst. This thought, I can't live with myself anymore. I can't live with myself anymore. Somehow that was his awakening. Was that deep angst. And then from there on, he was in bliss. And he said he spent the first year after that experience sitting on the park bench, just staring at the beauty of life in perfect bliss.
Nice.
And, to the outside, he just quit his job in academia and he's a bum. But people notice, this guy has something I want, right? There's just something attractive about peace. Yeah. And I'm not pretending I'm at that level. I'm not.
No, right.
But
it's funny. I was thinking that when you were talking about, it's like I'm so far from being at peace with life and the world. I have no business talking about it.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's moments where you've sensed it and you've felt it, and the key is, I think, trying to rise up. And
it's a constant journey.
It is
lifelong journey. You're never going to be the end of it. If you ever feel like you're there.
Yeah.
Rise up.
One really personal experience. So after the psilocybin transformation stuff, I was just in this perfect state of bliss and love. I was just in love with the world, and I came home and. Unfortunately, this reality of, oh, wow, I can't be with my wife anymore just hit us like a ton of bricks. It was just palpable, obvious,
Right.
And I lost it. I lost my peace, believe me. Sure. I mean, I was just in the throes of like, oh my God. And my biggest tragedy at that moment was like, I lost my peace of mind. Shit. The thing I valued more than anything, I lost it. Right. But you know what? I went to bed and I woke up the next morning like, oh, there it is.
There it is again.
Yeah. And so like, no matter how, angry or,
how to
suicidal, whatever, anybody might be feeling. I mean, there really is that core identity of just that still peaceful, loving, God place inside of all of us, I think.
Right. That's killer.
Yeah.
Well said.
Deep.
Deep, man.
Well, that's some pretty deep conversation for somebody I met 5 hours ago and 2 hours ago, whatever it was. We've been talking that long?
I don't think so. Maybe like
I don't know. Yeah, I kind of like this podcast idea because, man, I could just talk all fucking day.
Well, you know what? As this place is always open to you, I mean, obviously you can't be talking here while I'm doing massages, but if you want to come in afterwards and I'm not doing a podcast, you want to bring somebody in and talk to them, that's great. Start your own thing.
One of my
maybe that's another purge.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my my dearest friends in the world, known her over 30 years, I tease her, I call her the collector of interesting people.
That's
because I never really honestly cared that much about people. I was always about going off and accomplishing and conquering and everything, whatever male ego shit. And I never really cared that much about relationships. And then after I got out of the military, I looked at her and I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing it wrong. You've been establishing all these wonderful friends, all these wonderful relationships, and I've been, just ignoring all that shit.
Right.
And so, I kind of I admire her so much for being a collector of interesting people. I feel like, that's what I want to do now. I want to collect interesting people. And I swear to God, I've been in Monterey just a few weeks, and I'm finding them all over the damn place. They're just great. Like the advice booth folks on the farmers market. Vanessa and Dwight putting out a shout out. Yeah, and just all kinds of interesting people I'm meeting around here. Yeah, like today.
Nice.
Yeah, groovy.
Great energy, man.
Yeah.
How long have we been? 2 hours?
I don't know.
I
got to get you back again.
Yeah. Well, I tell you should stick with this.
You got more to talk about.
Oh, honestly, okay, we haven't even talked about dating. We haven't even talked about...
I know, there were so many other things. That's the thing about being a massage therapist.
It's like a bartender.
Yeah, exactly.
Bartender, therapist, massage.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, not for dude, man. I don't talk to my barber. No. So, well, I mean, not that I have one, obviously, but I mean, if I had a barber, I'd probably talk to my barber. I would probably talk to my barber.
Well, about a month ago, I drove across the country with a buddy of mine, and we went to North Carolina.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is just get out of the car and just start shooting the shit with somebody that I will never see again in my life.
Yeah.
See what kind of connection.
Yeah.
I'm filling up the motorcycle tank at the gas station. Somebody come walking up to me. Hey, you know what? I just shoot the shit with them for 20 minutes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Ride off thinking, I love that.
Oh yeah, I met a Tesla shaman a couple months ago who told me to guard my heart and shit. I mean, people are always finding me wherever I go. Yeah, it's amazing.
Shaman, what's that?
Oh, anyway, I was trying to charge my damn car and it wouldn't work. I've never had this problem before.
You got a new Tesla.
Yeah. It was.
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. Well, it's part of my starting a new life.
He's all cruising through San Francisco.
I'm done being frugal.
No, he's just relaxing. I don't have any stress anymore. My car drives itself.
Yeah, I know. I'm all about reducing stress, and it reduces my stress to not have to stress about traffic. It does.
Yeah. Get a silver one to blend in.
It's gray. Yeah, gray with black tires. Yeah. It's not a pretentious thing. I actually think it's a work of art. It's minimalist. I mean, sit in the Model Y or Model 3 and look at the dash. It's just so beautiful. There's a point where engineering becomes art. Steve Jobs got it and Elon Musk gets it.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't want to offend people because people don't like the tech folks, but they're all interesting.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
They brought us to where we are, man.
And honestly, I think we're at a stage in this world where we need some shortcuts, and I think technology is going to have some shortcuts that's going to help us. Whether it's desalinization or what. And one of the things people have always bashed psychedelics for is because it's a shortcut to meditation and yoga and everything. But we need a shortcut right now. We're in just a dire place environmentally and politically, and in terms of just people being in fucking pain. And I feel like if we can get creative and find solutions, whether they're technological or biological or whatever, let's all heal.
I think people are over it.
Yeah,
homeless population's going through the roof.
Yeah,
homeless people.
Yeah.
Everywhere encampments, and it's like that.
That's a very layered problem. The homeless, though.
Well, it's a lot of my what's next for society, because there's just
the
homelessness and the disparity.
Oh, and the way we're all just at each other's throats. I mean, think about January 6th and all that.
Just driving down the road, people are just really dead.
We all got to be a lot kinder to each other.
We do need to be a little kinder.
That's for sure. Man.
Yeah.
It starts with driving for me. It starts with driving.
That's why if everybody can just give up control of their cars,
everybody gets a Tesla.
Giving up control, the next guy might win the presidency if he runs on that. It's not going to be good for the debt or deficit.
That's
but
funny. I've heard what was the statistic I heard? Something about was it? The money that we spent on oil or something. I forget what it was.
Fucking Afghanistan.
But, yeah, we could have bought everybody in America a Tesla.
I know, man. I know.
You know?
Iraq, Afghanistan, shit.
God, yeah, maybe it was the war. How much we've spent on
the war on terror.
War-based wars.
Good God.
Like, oh, God.
I mean, honestly, maybe that's your next topic. War. What is it good for? You know? Because say it again. That might be a good closer. Well, I saw you. Even if you didn't hit record by accident and none of this got recorded, that was a fun conversation.
It may not be. We don't know. It may not be. Your microphone's not even on, so I'm just kidding.
I think it's recording.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Well,
now the camera might be off, but we still have the video.
Oh,
we still have the audio.
I'm curious now.
It's off.
Yeah, I think we lost it.
Yeah.
I still have to plug it in or what have you.
Yeah.
We couldn't find the...
We'll get them all tied in in that last few minutes, and then hang out.
Yeah, I'm a little tired, so I'm like your guys' conversation's really fast, so I'm kind of tired.
Maybe next time we can have an after hours and smoke weed. Elon Musk smoked weed on a podcast.
He did.
It worked out well for him. It was good publicity, though.
Yeah.
So I was in the Air Force at that time, and they're no kidding doing a contract with us, GPS. They were launching a satellite. We let them launch GPS because we have a lot of spares. We don't trust them with anything else because they're too wild and they don't do our fucking paperwork.
Right.
I'm not speaking on behalf of the government here. Sorry. Anyway, so and so when he smoked weed on that podcast, everybody's like, well, fuck, he's got a security clearance because he's doing business with the Air Force. What do we do? And at the end of the day, I think the answer was, well, you know what? He's Elon Musk. Just let him smoke weed on the podcast.
Yeah, his phone was blowing up while he was doing it. All everybody knew was like, "What are you doing?"
He has what we like to call "fuck you" money. Like the South Park guys.
10, right?
I saw a video and they said he had Asperger's.
Oh, on SNL, he posted it and he's like, "Hey, I'm the first guy to host SNL who has Asperger's. Well, at least the first one to admit it."
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
No, he obviously has Asperger's. Here, one little Elon thing, just because when I was in war college, I wrote my strategic leader paper on him. So he was married the first time, and
he had 6 kids, right? One died. No,
I hadn't heard that. No, I think he just has that one with a weird name.
Oh,
no, he doesn't.
He with his first wife.
I don't recall.
Okay, sorry.
But anyway,
Fact check.
He was giving his wife some advice on how she could, improve herself and, whatever, be a better wife and stuff. And, some women don't like to hear that. And so she said, "You can't talk to me like that. I'm your wife, not your employee." And he said, "I know, because if you were my employee, I'd fire you."
Ooh.
They got divorced and he lost a lot of fucking money over that joke. I hope it was worth it.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah. I was a little classier than that in my divorce, but not much.
Well, water under the dam.
Well,
my friend, we're going to call this a day.
Absolutely.
And hope it gets you back here in a few months and do this all over again.
I don't know where you're going to be hosting this or anything, but it sounds like a damn hoot.
I want to keep track of where you're at, man.
Awesome.
I'm fired up for you.
I think, right?
Yeah,
cool.
Right.
A couple.
Groovy.
Shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Just this test,
that's what it's all about.
Putting it down and making sure. And
I've listened to a fair number of podcasts, and I think this is pretty damn good. Yeah, I always wanted to start a talk show host like Johnny Carson, but just have normal people come on, like the mailman and the grocer and the masseuse and shit. Because they're probably more interesting if you really dig.
I think so.
Well, in Monterey, I run into big business owners, big head of industries, and all different things. Head of military. Just all kinds of super interesting.
Talk to them. I mean, there's a privacy thing. It's like I'm a nurse too, and it's like there's a bunch of stuff that I'd love to talk about.
Right.
That's the nice thing about me and me. I can talk freely. I don't answer to anyone. No boss, no woman, nothing, man.
Right.
I'm a free bird.
But if they're, like a hospice nurse, or if it's, whatever.
Or if you got a top secret security clearance.
Yeah.
Technically I do, but I don't care.
Yeah, right.
Obviously.
Nice
talking to you,
Benjamin.
You as well. Yeah, you guys are delightful. I've been so happy finding all these just incredible people around Monterey. It's been great.
Right.
This is where I'm supposed to be.
I know you got 100 more stories to tell. I don't even want to turn this thing off yet.
Another time.
Right. Another time.
Well, Steve, you met your business partner kind of like serendipitous kind of like this.
Yeah. He was also Air Force.
Awesome.
Told you a little bit about him.
Yeah. A little different.
He's also he's an Asperger's.
Yeah.
He's self-diagnosed.
Yeah.
Kind of an Asperger's.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my dad had it.
Yeah. Which is so intelligent.
But really
often
smart,
they are.
great
Yeah,
person.
right.
Often the way it works.
I think the universe brings people that need to be together.
Amen.
Right.
Word.
All right, my friend.
The light.
All the time.